Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to see all of you. I'm so glad that we can be together in this crazy technology. It's just really amazing. So thankful. As we get started today, I want to go ahead and sit quietly for a few minutes, but I thought that we might dedicate our sitting today and our gathering to Thich Nhat Hanh, beautiful, beloved Reverend and peacemaker who is continuing. I'm going to read something that he wrote from No Death, No Fear. This body is not me. I am not caught in this body. I am life without boundaries. I have never been born, and I have never died. Over there, the wide ocean and the sky with many galaxies all manifest from the basis of consciousness. Since beginningless, that's a word, beginningless, since beginningless time, I have always been free. Birth and death are only a door through which we go in and go out. Birth and death are only a game of hide and seek. So smile to me and take my hand and wave goodbye. Tomorrow we shall meet again, or even before. We shall always be meeting again at the true source, always meeting again on the myriad paths of life. Thich Nhat Hanh. I have never been born, and I have never died. He's meeting us at beginninglessness. Hi, Lynn. Okay, let's sit quietly for about, I don't know, probably about 10 minutes. I don't have a singing bowl, so we'll have to rely on a Jen saying, that's it, guys, come back, because I can't figure out how to work my Insight timer anymore either. Oh, hey, I know what I can do. I can just set a regular timer. Okay. We humbly dedicate this to Thich Nhat Hanh. And often it takes a little bit, a little something to really arrive into our quietness. Some of us can just drop like a stone in a pond. Others of us have to kind of tune into the breath, come into the heaviness of the body, the solidness of the ground. Others of us may reach this arrival, eternal arrival, through words, maybe. I am here. Here I am. The felt sense of alive, vital, aware, here-ness. We're arriving eternally right here and now. So I am so happy to be here with all of you. You're going to see me reading from my phone quite a bit today because I don't have a printer down here. So some of the stuff that I wanted to share, I just texted it to myself. That's how I'm going to make that happen. So if you see me reading from my phone, that's what I'm doing. I do want to read this. Hi, Nanette. I do want to read this Thich Nhat Hanh one more time. From No Death, No Fear, because it fits in and segues and dovetails, describes right into what I want to get into today. This body is not me. I am not caught in this body. I am life without boundaries. I have never been born, and I have never died. Over there, the wide ocean and the sky with many galaxies all manifests from the basis of consciousness. Since beginningless time, I have always been free. Birth and death are only a door through which we go in and we go out. Birth and death are only a game of hide and seek. So smile to me and take my hand and wave goodbye. Tomorrow we shall meet again, or even before. We shall always be meeting again at the true source. Always meeting again on the myriad paths of life. So today I really wanted to dive into this never been born, never died. But I want to say before we get started that as he ends with in that beautiful passage, we meet at the true source and we meet in the myriad paths of life. Both and. So all of us, every one of us, no matter what understandings, glimpses, revelations, awakenings, paths, spiritual shifts we've had or we are having, we come together as the myriad of paths, the true source expressing as the myriad of paths. Every one of us, nobody, nothing is ever far, distant, separate from source. We can have many descriptions of our experience running through our brains, our intellects, and we can choose to believe any one of those. And some of the beliefs are very, very, very deeply conditioned, personally and collectively, very deeply, primally so. But regardless of our devotion to those beliefs, beyond that, we are what we are, what we are, what we are. We are not separate from source. It can't be. It can't be. No matter what our the mind is telling us. So sometimes it can get real heated up in a group setting or in relation to another person. I've certainly had that experience, and as I'm sure you have, where the mind can start comparing just this fast, this quick comparison, compensation, the script of I'm not good enough, like we have been exploring. It can just happen so quickly Like Byron Katie says, you know, the ego's food is comparison. I mean, this, that. But as we are discovering, as this and that come together as simply aspects of wholeness, we can relinquish all that devotion to the beliefs. I almost want to say false vows. You know, our beliefs are like vows in a certain way, and they're very deeply held. We're devoted to them. It's kind of hard to see sometimes. It takes some humility, some humanity to say, oh yeah, you know, there is this function within consciousness called self-consciousness that, when deeply believed in, sort of starts running the show for years, if not lifetimes. Oh, well, you know, it's a function in consciousness. It starts kicking in around age 3 or so, right? Where that function of reflexiveness, the senses going out and landing on something and then reflecting back, starts building this like, I am so and so, and I am this in relation to that, and I am this in relation to that, and I am this in relation to that, and it just gets more and more and more solidly believed in, devoted, the devotion to that becomes habit. It becomes unconscious until it's made conscious by the grace of God, by the grace. And one realizes, oh yeah, I forgot. I'm remembering now. I am that. And I am a myriad of paths. So, regardless of whether we understand through our intellect or even our experience the words during this session, regardless, we are all in all. We are all expressions of the dark, mysterious, unknown potential beyond conception, beyond birth and death, and anything else that exists in the land of experience. Experience is based on the opposite. It's based on comparison, as is the self. And it's very, very difficult for the self to conceive of life beyond experience, beyond the experiencer. Beyond the experiencer. The self assumes there must be a self. Oh boy, for there to be life, for there to be experience. All we have to do, as many of us on this call love to do, is look at what we call nature, which is no different from us. And there is the reflection of life without self consciousness. Consider the lilies of the field. They neither toil nor spin. They simply are. And as we know, and we have all been so gracious with each other over the years, it's completely impossible to describe that which is beyond concepts with concepts. And language is concepts. So, you know, we do what we can. We do what we can. And we each do it in this way that when we bring it together, we have a greater, what's the saying? The sum is greater than its parts. Yeah. Yeah. So truly, it sounds preposterous to the mind, to the intellect, but truly, life, moment, the holy instant, the eternal now, this isness is very different when source is experiencing itself through self, let's say. Source being the Godhead, the unfathomable, dark unknown, that beyond and before. I had some beautiful emails this week, and I will post them and I will respond to them. I haven't had time, but it's coming. When that is experienced through self, the body, self, selfhood, the entire self, big self, little self. That's very different than when source experiences itself through itself as itself, without the mediation of the experiencer. The experiencer, the me. And so when Thich Nhat Hanh says something like, I am life without boundaries. I have never been born and I have never died. What do we make of that? You know, that is a beautiful way, a beautiful, beautiful way of describing life beyond self. I'm always talking about it's a tiny little shift of identification, a tiny little shift of devotion, you might say. In that first inquiry we did together with this course, the part 2, where part 1, we are coming very solidly into an experience with all that that entails, the mediation of belief, the mediation of emotion, the mediation of story and narration. None of it's bad. None of it's bad. None of it is anything we need to deny, repress, or suppress. It's just the way it is. So we're coming very strongly into something like that. We bring it completely into consciousness. And then in part 2, we notice what is aware of all of that. Mary wrote me a beautiful email and said, it's the undercurrent, the ground. It's the ground of all experience. Prior to, before, and beyond the experiencer and the experience. So why would we be even going into this or caring about it or attempting to access it or recognize it as one's true nature? Well, it's like the waves and the deep ocean. The scenarios, the little births and little deaths in every single moment that we're all going through our lives, our beautiful lives. I'm not meaning to belittle or minimize. It's every life is God's expression, and it is inherently meaningful and reverent. So don't get me wrong, but the experiencer has this limited sense. It's very wrapped up in the waves, the surface stuff. And thoughts, oh my gosh, thoughts. You know, one thought can come in like, oh, I don't know, a judging thought of yourself or somebody else, myself or somebody else. And if the attention gets sucked in there, and then the belief, and then the story, and then the whipping, bad, should not be thinking these thoughts, all the stuff. I mean, that's a really different experience than the ocean. The ocean. The depth. The source. It's a matter of identification and attention. Where do we put our attention? I'm not going to use the word put. I'd rather use the word give. Because when we give our attention, it is an act of love. And what we love, we become. And what we love, we grows. Giving our attention is an act of love. The attention is powerful. It's powerful. So even in an instant, right, we could be sensing deeply in our own unique way and describing in our own unique way this ground, source, the that which is. And the attention can be completely absorbed. And then something comes in. And there's a lot coming in right now, guys. The waves are tsunamis, literally. Literally. The volcano outside of Tonga put cracks in my kitchen floor here in the condo. So it's a lot of big waves, the pandemic, divisiveness throughout every system, all of our systems, all of our things we count on a daily basis, right? Like going to the grocery store and finding the shelves not so full because, I mean, it's the waves, there's a lot. We're all experiencing a lot. So where we put our attention, where we give way, what we are willing to relinquish of and devotion to becomes critical at a time like this. So that, if we need a reason, most of us, especially on this call, are just called. We're called by love, we're called by grace, we're called by our souls to embody our deepest understanding, our deepest knowing of our true nature. So we don't really need a reason anymore. I hope I texted this to myself, but I think I may have forgotten to text this one over. It's occurring to me. I want to read this from Adya at this point, our discussion. We've been contemplating this. I think I brought it forward in a deep dive, maybe a year ago at this point, because I think I was here at the condo. Goes hand in hand with what I'm attempting to speak about, and the no death, no birth, and the Thich Nhat Hanh. From Adyashanti. As long as man has something or someone to which he can cling, he will not find God. Oh, this is not from Adya. You guys got to bear with me, this technology, but this is good. I'm going with this. This is Joseph Goldsmith. Whatever human beingness knows or is able to know with its human mentality, whether a thing or a thought, is not source. No one is going to find source while we have anything on which to stand, anything on which we can hold, or anything about which we can think. Startling and unbelievable as this may seem to be, nevertheless, it is true. The power is in the timeless, formless, changeless, unborn, undying, ever-isness. We think we're going to have some great ideas, and we are. We are, and we do. But the blank canvas, you might say, is where Source can express possibilities, potentialities beyond our ideas, which, in my humble opinion, I can't say I know this to be true. I have a limited human mind. But in my humble opinion, the time is now for miracles, what we would call miracles. So we have the level of physicality and gravity, which includes great inventions and scientific advancements and technology. And we don't have to transcend and throw that baby out with the bathwater. Guess what? We get to transcend and include. Transcend and include. So we can have all of that understanding and assistance at that level of consciousness. And as we transcend to the level of, let's say, divinity, as human beings become, Audio uses the word numinous, divine, as we recognize our true nature of love without opposition. We can have assistance at that level. We can evoke all of the archetype. We can evoke Thich Nhat Hanh. We can evoke anything within the body of existence, because that we are that. As we keep transcending through the levels of consciousness, we approach and maybe even remember the level of consciousness that is like loaves and fishes in the Bible, where God is and nothing else is. Source is, period. The kind of free fall of no self, you might say. The responsive immediacy. Responsive immediacy. Where even the very seductive and very beautiful and awesome levels of consciousness that include the experiential self of bliss, union of Shiva and Shakti, Kundalini rising, all the levels of bliss and, as Adi would say, rarefied, exalted states. That still requires a self. Like Dr. Hawkins used to say, if you want the candy, the spiritual candy, you should probably just stay in the 600s, if any of you are familiar with this scale. That's where all the real sweet stuff is, the bliss. Nothing wrong with, I mean, I'm not in opposition or against anything, really. I'm just attempting today to point to that which has never been born and that which has never died. that is looking at me right now through each and every one of your eyes. And there you are. And there I am. And my source and I are one. We are not two. We're not two. And just remembering, I can't find that piece of writing that we've been contemplating of Adya's this past year, but I'll put it on the website. But he actually uses the word, the recognition of that is the salvation. He uses the word salvation, which I found interesting. It's the salvation of the whole. It's a revolution brought down into time and space. It's power. Not of the ego, not of the self. I know I'm going out on a limb. I'm going out on a limb saying there is not in my, I don't know, you guys have to educate me. Still not getting the co-creation thing. Still not grokking that. Wholeness is being as isness wholeheartedly and responsively in the holy immediate instant is as close as I can come, because that's where that's my direct experience. And like I've said many times, and you guys have heard me, experience is not the right word, so when one of you guys come up with the right word of this, not mediated by self or experiencer, let me know. Conscious communion, that's the one I'm using lately. Eternal wholeness. Thank you guys for letting me kind of spiral in. I've attempted to talk about it, and so have you guys, beautifully over, the course of time together. And it's hard to speak about. It's hard to conceptualize something beyond conception. The holy dark, the holy radiant dark that is kissed by the breath of she who animates. The union of Shiva and Shakti, the beloved and the lover, the father and the son, the mother and the daughter, whatever vocabulary you want to put on it. Source and expression. Godhead and God. The reunion, the remembering is coming home. That's coming home. That's at homeness. That's refuge. That's refuge. refuge in this big time. And it's not just necessarily a big time collectively. I think about Jill with her mama having passed just recently, and I don't know what's going on personally for everybody on this call, but our refuge, our home, our ground, our source, the heart of our matter is right here. It's so intimate. It can never be made into an object, which is why we miss it. We miss it. It's radical subjectivity. We can only be it. You can't objectify something you are. The eye can't see itself. It has to see the reflection. And through this amazing function, this amazing expression within consciousness called humanity, that which is able, you might say, to see itself. Because one can never see one. It's one. So, and wholeness is whole. So to have this Oh, I hope I wrote it. Thich Nhat Hanh said something about this, and I'm hoping I saved it to share. I know where it is. God made humans so that humans can become God. This is Thich Nhat Hanh. A human being is a mini God, a microtheos who has been created in order to participate. I like the word participate. I'll go there. Co-create. You guys are going to have to convince me, but I'll go with participate in the divinity of God. Deification is made not only of the spirit, but of the body of a human also. Thich Nhat Hanh. God made humans so that humans can become God. A human being is a mini God, a microtheos who has been created in order to participate in the divinity of God. Deification, it's a big word. The ego hears that and goes, oh, the 10 Commandments and all that. We will be struck down for sure if we go around calling ourselves mini gods. Oh boy. Deification is made not only of the spirit, but of the body of a human also. I and my father, mother, parent, source are one. We are one. No separation, no division, no distance. Doesn't that sound like a refuge? We can't ever be far from our essence. We can't die away from it. It's a continuation. Like, remember, there's a lot of water imagery coming through today. I'm staring at the ocean right here, but I don't know. I think like when I was in 6th grade or something, I don't know if they teach this still, but the whole like diagram where the water, you know, is in the rivers, and then it goes to the ocean, and then it evaporates up into the sky, and then it's a cloud, and then it's rain, and then it's a puddle, and, you know, it's a continuation. Eternal wholeness. Heaven and earth. You guys know how I love Genesis, which is beginninglessness, as Thich Nhat Hanh calls it. It's the origin of all origins of every moment, of every instant of now, past, present, future, here. It's this. It's you, me. Genesis now. Genesis 1:1, as interpreted by Neil Douglas Platts through the Aramaic. The heaven in us vibrates through creation, rising like a volatile mixture of fire and water. The name of the Holy One vibrates word, light, and atmosphere, constantly telling us, even when we deny it, that nothing is ever separate. This heaven extends from a center that could be anywhere to a border that may be everywhere. It is part of what is created, and at the same time, part of what is creating. How do we make sense of this? The earth in us offers a unique gift to the rest of the cosmos, descending like a fixed fire toward a definite end and purpose, destiny. We came for a reason. There is no other like us. This uniqueness reminds us of the preciousness of what we are, the opportunity of what we can be. Community, individuality, wave, particle, heaven, earth. The first outpouring of sacred reality expresses itself in these ways, in beginningless, full of mystery, present then, now, and in the future. Genesis. The heaven in us vibrates through creation. The earth in us offers a unique gift with a definite purpose. We can convince ourselves we're so lost, right? We're so far from what we seek, what we want, what we yearn for. And the whole time, that yearning is source seeking us. Come, 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 come. Come home. Remember, remember, remember. And it's the salvation of the whole. Our remembering is the salvation of the whole, the redemption. And after that, we are responsive immediacy, conscious communion, absent of the doer, the seer, the lover, the good personer, the experiencer, the self. Just, you just don't know. You don't know. 1 minute to the next, you have no idea. There's no knowing the knower. The knower is relinquished. Okay. We take our break. Let's have these words resonating one more time. I am life without boundaries. I have never been born, and I have never died. Let's take a 5-minute break. I'm going to sit where I am because I have too many things attached to me and too much technology I have to deal with. Come on back when you guys are ready. Oh, I thought I saw Morgana. Come back. Oh, there she is. Okay. I want to hear from you guys, but I also want to leave enough time at the end to do a little bit of a guided meditation that will be kind of an exploration into how do we give our attention to that, which we do a lot of, we practice that a lot in a lot of the guided meditations, and you guys are sort of used to me asking and inviting and encouraging all of us to do that, but with maybe a little bit more specifics. So we're going to do that at the end, but I would love to, and like I said, I did get some beautiful emails, very insightful, very thoughtful emails, and I want to get them up for everyone to share, and also if there was any kind of response here. And I will be getting this recording posted and another guided meditation, some focused inquiries. I wanted to say, you know, there's no timeline, there's no hurry. If you're on focused inquiry number 1 and that's resonating, or maybe you're on number 2, or maybe they're not resonating at all, or you just really want to stick with what's coming forward for you, you know, it's just, it's there for when it feels relevant. And I don't have any, you know, oh, hurry, move along, let's go, let's go to the next thing. There's none of that here. So anyway, somebody want to bring something forward? Maybe regarding what we were talking about today, or the course in general, or just a report or some sharing. Something that's relevant. It's a really internal time, isn't it? Sharon Knoll was saying that, and also just all the astrologers I've tuned into, and then I spoke with Sharon Landreth yesterday, and with all these planets retrograde, if you're sensitive to that kind of thing or believe in it, and it's fine if you don't, whatever. But it does feel kind of internal. But maybe somebody has something to say. I seem to have a lot. Hey, Jim.
Someone's got to jump off the cliff first. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate your today, and even though I took a little nap, and I really appreciate your response last night. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll talk, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. It's interesting how just this morning I had an old friend come and visit, you know, and I'm feeling really quiet and relaxed and cool. And the situation is, there's me and my 2 cousins are the active owners and the managers of our cabin in the Sierras. And we're trying to figure out how to fund it long term. So my brother, we're gonna need an endowment. He made all this stuff, sending out to everybody this report, and you know, it's good work. But I got it, and I went, he didn't ask me. And I just felt this discomfort. So I thought, I wonder if I'm out of line here. So I called my cousin. We talked about my response, and it got down to, oh, this is like 4th grade, you know, responsive feeling, you know, inadequate, powerlessness, and devalued. And it's like, oh, this is a really familiar thing. Okay, huh. just sit here in the wholeness of it and the wholeness of the wholeness. And it's like, it came really clear down. Oh, this is, I don't have a specific memory, but this is the time when these feelings were generated of just being, run over and obliterated, my sense of self. And pretty soon it faded away, and he's not the son of a bitch he was a couple hours ago. It's funny. Yeah.
Amazingly enough, the buck always stops here,
But I was so grateful to have the space for that, to see that and not react. Like, I noticed I wanted to react, but I go, wait a minute. Why would I do that? If my cousin had written it, it'd be great work. But my brother did it. Oh, the damn guy. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's really beautiful. That is. And I'm really grateful for that space as well. And that's a great illustration of, it's not that all of that, the baby doesn't go out with the bathwater.
right.
We don't transcend and trash. In fact, if anything, it just keeps, more and more and more and more cannot be divided out ever. So it's just capacity, really. It's capacity, because there's attention and practiced identification and whatever word you want to put on it, with the aspect that is abiding. It's abiding through all of that, and it's intelligent, and wise. We have this idea that, the emotion belief cycle is really what we need to pay homage to because we feel it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just a cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, there's nothing wrong with it. I love the way you are expressing it. It's not like, oh, I need to resist that or get past that or, do the moving away or moving towards. In the end, really, that's all self is. That's all self is.
Yeah.
And then there is silent spaciousness.
Yeah. Which was there all along.
Presence.
Yeah. So I have one more little story for you.
Yeah.
So I went skiing. I've seen Michelle a couple of times skiing the other day, and I just skied by as if they weren't, her and her girlfriend weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up Tuesday. The snow was wonderful. I'm walking down to put my skis on, and who should walk out from the front of the car, right? And I go, what happened? I just went, oh, what happened? We just hugged each other for like 5 minutes.
Hey.
And it was just like we both went, oh. And I don't feel I have to push away or keep it's like, this vigilance. It's more like, oh, hello. We're different. I'm different now than I was then. And life is different. And we're going to have coffee tomorrow. So,
hey.
It's like, I'm going to be really vigilant to the situation, but I don't have this fear or this pulling toward or pushing away. The hug was like, I just felt my body, noticed how this thing felt. Not, oh my God, this is the best thing ever, or the worst thing ever, or, oh, this is lovely. Okay. This body feels lovely. Okay. And we chatted a bit and on we went. It's like, wow, you can't make this shit up, And it's like baffling to me because there was, the fear and the agony.
Agony is the perfect word.
Yeah, for months. And it's like come back around to, it's played itself out.
Yeah.
It's back to miraculous.
Amazing. The process of just turning it over, and then it really does come full circle.
Yeah. In a different way.
Absolutely.
Up a couple notches after it's dug down a couple notches. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I love that analogy.
Absolutely. God, beautiful. Oh, hey, who, like you said, who would have thunk it?
Who would have thunk it?
Up. Yeah.
Yeah. And sending those emails yesterday was kind of, it was really clear to me. I didn't want to do it, but I go, this is clear. It's been clear for quite a while in spite of some of my actions. And I just go, okay, this is it. And it's just fine.
Right. It really reminded me when I read it of you bringing that word agency.
Oh, yeah.
Into your description of your current understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. The agency, you actually have some liberation, some choice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're not just being run around by the patterns and the conditionings and the blueprints and the ancient habits and that just keeps unwinding and keeps unwinding and keeps unfolding and keeps becoming that vibration through the whole. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Sharon Landreth always says, hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Jim.
Let me know when you're available this week. We'll chat.
Okay. Jen, yay. I want to hear from you. I'm so happy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Well, this is probably a kind of a small experience, but I think it's kind of a gem because of some shifting I'm feeling. And I've been real wrapped up and emotional and in my head and running off to all my little escapes and staying away from myself a bit. And so the other day I was just super tight in my chest, super tight. And I was just miserable. And the negativity and the voices in my head going, this is wrong, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. And so I came up here and I sat down and I started breathing and sitting and trying to really stick in my body. And the energy kind of not accelerated, but grew. And I started saying in my mind all the negativities, all the messages that I give myself on a regular basis, and not enough stuff. And then the energy shifted and became, the energy was anger, and it started getting louder and louder within me. And I started hitting my legs with my fist. And I said, why are you being so mean to me? Mm-hmm. And I started, it grew a bit more, and I just really came down on my legs, and I realized, and I started shouting about stop it. And then I said bastard at the end. And so I feel like some of this is old crap coming up, and it just started shuffling through and dissipating. And so I felt much more calm and expanded. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that came to me this week was that this really is my responsibility. The buck really does stop here. And if I want to come closer to source or come home, mm-hmm. I'm the one that has to do the work. And so when I was coming out of that situation, my little black mama God just kind of wrapped her arms around me and rocked me in, and I felt much better. And I really, yesterday it occurred to me, I really want God to start driving my bus. So instead of me so much. So anyway, wow. Just wanted to share that.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Oh, how beautiful that you kept the inquiry. I love that. I love that it was all just coming. I mean, it can come fast and furious and it's like burn the house down, right? Type of like, mm-hmm. And that you had the wisdom to go closer to those thoughts, and just actually even start naming them and saying them and like giving voice to them. That takes an amazing amount of bravery and vulnerability. That takes a lot to do that, because those are our worst fears about ourselves. That's actually who I am, and that's the truth of me. And we have such deeply conditioned response to move away from that. Who wouldn't? We can have compassion for that, right? Like if you believe that, oh, don't see me, that's the reality, of course you're going to move away. So to move towards and actually give it voice and write it out is, like you said it, that's a shift. That is a shift. That's most definitely a shift in capacity. And yeah, brilliant. That's like, that takes so much courage. All of us have to muster, like you said, that courage to relinquish all of that without pushing it away. Just embodying it and giving the wheel to that which is our source, God, source, the true nature driver, the true nature.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's it. I mean, that's kind of what we were going to practice at the end of the session, but you already got us there. So maybe we'll do something else. Exactly. I mean, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thanks for listening, dear. And everybody. Appreciate it.
I mean, we've talked about it sort of endlessly, all of us, right? And all of the, all of our spiritual masters, the folks that we look to, all say that courage is just a really big part of the process. It takes heart, that courageous heart to really step away from what we think. Of course, I could easily step away from all of that negative, shaming and blaming and all that stuff. Why wouldn't I step away from all that? I am not enough. But strangely enough, that just takes a lot of, this is an old-fashioned word, it probably is very Eastern Oregon, but gumption, And God, the wisdom too of the intimacy of speaking something, languaging something, not just feeling it, but like saying the negative, I am not good enough in whatever format they're coming through. Brilliant. Because there's no separation there. When you're giving voice to it, you are embodying it like 100%. So it's not intellectual anymore. It's not held in consolidation in somewhere in the body with a feeling anymore. It's out there. And right here at the same time. I mean, it's like, so that is a shift. It'd be really interesting to see what comes, right?
Yeah. Thanks, dear.
Thanks, Jan.
Yeah.
Wow. Amen. I think we have time for one more. Especially since Jan took us through the exercise. It really was going to be something similar to that. We'll still do it. Or maybe we won't, who knows? I never know what's going to. But really, the how. And there's so many paths. actually did a supplemental teaching that you guys will receive here in a few days when we get it posted on this about, well, first of all, the first step, right, is being where you are. Present to the current of what is right now. That's the first step, always, always, that's the first step. And listening compassionately, gently, if you can, and if you can't, just remaining present. Presence is the great dissolver. It's the solvent. It's presence. And, you know, for some of us, it can come through real stormy and fierce like that. I can have similar processes that where it's just like very, you know, and who knows what the mind will, who cares? I mean, who is there to care about what this mind has to always say? I mean, really, you know, just remaining present and giving the attention to the present moment. Present moment. Getting all of yourself. Carolyn Mace used to say this image of, in her mind, it looked like a switchboard, an old-fashioned switchboard, where the operator, you know, boy, Minette might just not have any sense of what I'm talking about because this is old-fashioned for sure, but the operators, you know, plug in here and plug in there and plug in there, and this line goes here and this line goes there, and just unplugging all of it. And you're nowhere at all, but right where you are with whatever is. And then the willingness to be as is the miracle, the power, the grace. And it's that waving goodbye that Thich Nhat Hanh says in that passage we read at the very beginning, the willingness to smile and wave goodbye. It comes and it goes. We can't stop it. We have tricks to hold it in time. We have our bag of goodies to hold it there. You know, our narrative and our compensation, you know, everything we do. It's just the way it is. We have our bag of goodies to hold all the coming from going. But guess what? It goes. It comes and it goes this quickly. And the anchor is that which never comes and goes, which is looking at me right now through all those sets of eyes and is there for every coming and going, gives rise to every coming and going, graciously and lovingly. You want that, my love? Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. That which is never coming and going. Presence, awareness, ground of all being. We can't create it, right? We can't create that present, the presence that is for all of these events. We can't create that. Presence is. Awareness is. It's the isness That's beyond birth and death, beyond coming and going. It's not manufactured, created, or co-created, or any of it. It simply is. It's the great mystery. It's the great mystery. It's dark. It's the darkness of let there be light. Holy wisdom. It can just seem preposterous and outlandish. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to drop all of that. Did somebody else want to say something? Going there again. Morgana? Are you raising your hand, my sweet? Yeah. No? Yes, no? No, yes?
Okay.
There you are.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I wasn't expecting to jump in here at all because
I'm sorry to put you on the spot. If you don't have anything to say, it's okay. I thought
no, I think this is the only way I'm going to do it, and I think I need to do it.
Okay.
It's been a very strange week. It sounds like it has for a lot of us. Very strange. I really related to both Jim and Jan. Very, very much similar and yet different. My thing is all kind of confused up with a lot of very strange physical symptoms that, not any known serious condition, but nevertheless feel very real and they're very physical. And
you're not alone. You're not alone with that on this phone call. Yeah, you're not alone with that on this phone call. There's many of us who we're with you.
Oh, well, I don't know if I should say I'm sorry to hear that, but anyway, we're in good company. I'm in good company. Keep having things jumping up on the screen. And it was so synchronistic how you began today with Thich Nhat Hanh's quote about I was never born and I will never die, roughly quoted, because that's what it's been so present for me. Not that I think I'm dying right now, but the feeling that I'm close to death, not literally, but I can't distinguish whether it actually is my body that's dying or what, but I'm right there at the threshold of some kind of death. And I've been really scared.
Yeah.
Really scared. And at the same time, the fear didn't even feel real. So everything I say, I could contradict and say, well, no, it wasn't really fear. It wasn't really death. It wasn't really physical symptoms. It wasn't really anger. And yet it was. So
yeah, I understand. It's a great paradox. I mean, the paradox of a living being, Thich Nhat Hanh, saying, I've never lived, I've never been born, and I've never died. I mean, it's all a great paradox. And the more we remember and the less we know, the more paradoxical it becomes. And you do go through these phases where everything out of your mouth, I remember this, is like, that's not right. That's not right. I mean, I still do. I'll do it in the middle of one of these phone calls. Everybody's used to it where I just kind of ponder a little bit like, no, not quite right. So it's it's very paradoxical, and language really breaks down at paradox, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Every time, as soon as I say it, or even before it comes out of my mouth, it's in my head and I'm speaking. No, wait a minute. But here we go. We're here.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. And the right up against the death thing, circling the drain,
Yeah.
the self has an experience of death. Like Dr. Hawkins said, that's the only experience we will ever have of death. After the self dies, there really is more like continuation is the word that Thich Nhat Hanh uses. I always say remaining,
Yes.
abiding.
Abiding. Yeah.
It is an actual, a sense of something ending and never coming back, you might say.
Yeah, that was the sense of it. And that it's so ironic because in the past I've been diagnosed with something that they told me I had 50-50 chance of dying. And so I can actually say I was not afraid. I mean, maybe most people would be, and not because I was so brave. I just felt, I don't know what that's like, but sounds kind of exciting. So, but this time when there isn't, no doctor has said you have 50-50 chance of dying, and yet it felt, I was scared. I was scared. This is the end of everything I've ever known. This
Exactly.
is the end. I won't be me anymore.
That's it. That's it. That's it, sweetheart. And
Yeah.
that is you said it. You know it. You said it beautifully. It's the end of the me that I've always known. And I guarantee, I promise, this expression, Morgana, comes into full flower, full bloom, full ripeness, full unfolding in that death. It sounds crazy, but it's like the seed giving way to the plant. It's got to go. It's got to go. But guess what? Is it gone when the oak tree is right there?
Yes, true, so true. Wow.
But if it never opened and dissolved and gave way, like the caterpillar, like the seed, then
right. Yes. If the caterpillar resisted what it was turning into, it wouldn't
have it.
But it can't.
Yeah. So it feels like death. Not to everybody, honestly, but it did to me, and it is to many of us. And the sense of it is like, whoa, I'm giving up literally everything. What? It's like annihilation.
Yes, that's what
into the void. But
yes.
the thing is the thing. Love is.
Well,
and it.
What's coming up now? Oops, don't want to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
What kept coming up when I was going, and I've been going through it for, I don't know, a week or two or whatever it is, and I'm just sitting for hours I'm not sitting in the proper meditation way, but just sitting on stuff.
We're not being improper.
Not proper at all, very improper. And I really have, I won't say I've dismissed the thought that this experience of I'm dying is what you said, but I'm kind of discounting it. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm thinking
Absolutely.
that it can't be that. It can't be that. So maybe I am dying. And if I am dying, well, but could be the other. But it's not either or either. I just don't know what's going on. I'm totally confused. And yet I'm not freaked out, even though I'm scared and I'm confused and I'm angry and I don't know what's happening. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I can say that not knowing is the best place to be, because as Adya says, you're going to end up there anyway. So not
Right.
that place. feels terrifying. Look at the world right now. You're not alone. The uncertainty and the insecurity. I mean, holy moly.
Oh my
we
God.
just go from one minute to the next.
Absolutely.
Honestly, the reflection of this is powerful right now. It's really pushing that edge of evolution. Really, really
Absolutely.
pushing, you know?
Yes.
Because it's just all. So,
It's all,
I mean, of course, the body, the nervous system, the body and your nervous system and the nervous system, mine, everyone's,
yeah.
is wired for fight or flight and for survival. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gift of God and expression of holiness, our nervous system. But it is in the process of learning a new groove.
Yes.
Process of learning a new groove. It's
Absolutely.
got to let go.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Wow.
rewire and re-inhabit.
Yes. Yes.
That process, my gosh, it can really take you to that basement of physicality.
Oh, it's just the basement of everything, emotions.
Yeah,
It's the basement. And yet I know enough. I don't know anything, but just to let it be, whatever it is, just allow it to be there.
Well, that's wise. That's very
And
wise.
that makes it feel like, although there's really tremendous fear and all the anger and even though there's very much that, it somehow doesn't feel real. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, because it's like the little waves on the surface of the infinite.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is a phase. There is a phase where everything. I mean, here, and I'm not trying to, claim your experience, but just as an example, it would almost look like I could that reality was like 2-dimensional at best, not 3-dimensional.
Yes.
Almost just like push my finger through it or knock it over.
Right. Exactly.
So little relevance and reality to it.
Absolutely. Yes. That's exactly it. It just feels 2-dimensional. It feels like even my own fear and panic and all of that feels 2-dimensional.
Yeah.
And that is so weird. I think, am I losing my mind?
It's weird. It's weird. There's some weird phases. There's some really weird phases. I mean, and luckily things come and things go.
Right.
No, there's going to be some, but it can be very disorienting. Very, it blows your mind, but that's the wisdom of it moving. The mind has to be almost booted out of reason.
Yes.
Because it will to the end, it will always, it's a function of reasoning. It does a brilliant job of reasoning and logic and all of that. But when you move into these other levels of consciousness and experience, reason is not going to explain what you're talking about right now.
No, definitely it doesn't make any sense at all.
It doesn't make any sense at all. It's completely unreasonable.
None.
And guess what? It's wild. It's the wilderness.
Oh, total wildness. Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well,
Thank
hang
you.
in there. And I loved what you were saying about you're right there for it. You're right there. You're just you're in the midst of it, and
Yeah.
you're not trying to change it. You don't understand it. Good. You can't. And this too shall pass. It really will. It really
Yes, I know it will. One way or another, it will.
it will.
Mm.
It will.
Oh, thank you so much, Jennifer.
Morgana, thank you. I understand.
I know you do.
Now, Nanette has said, because she's had a lot of physical rewiring, she said, I spontaneously barfed this morning and you're rocking this, Morgana. Thanks for your share. Much love.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Aw. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to put you back on mute. Wow, guys. You guys are awesome. Yeah. I'm so glad we're all in it together. Really. It's a rock and roll show. It's wild. I think I did on the break. I was able to text myself the quote I wanted to read you guys from Adya. First of all, just a deep bow to everyone, whether you shared verbally or listened heartfully or showed up presently in any way that you happen to be here in your gorgeous, unique beauty. Thank you. I bow. I didn't want us to leave without listening to this. One must be willing to stand alone in the unknown with no reference to the known or the past or any of one's conditioning. So that's what we're signing up for. A willingness to stand alone in the unknown with no reference to the known or the past or any of one's conditioning. One must stand where no one has stood before. That's that beginninglessness Thich Nhat Hanh was talking about, unborn, undied. Stand in complete nakedness, innocence, and humility. One must stand in that dark light, in that groundless embrace, unwavering and true to the reality beyond all self, not just for a moment, but forever, without end. For then, that which is sacred, undivided, and whole is born within consciousness and begins to express itself. That expression is the salvation of the whole. It is the activity of an inward revolution brought down into time and space. We revolutionize inwardly, and then time and space changes. And then we are the change we want to see. And we have become what we love. And the reflection can only reflect what is, what actually is. Let's just sit here for a minute together, shall we? Just allow some space and some silence, some quietness around all these words and these gorgeous, gorgeous expressions. We give each other our presence, which is the presence of Source. We stand alone as one. It's the true meaning of togetherness. Turning over the wheel. Coming home. Devoting ourselves to the willingness to be as is. Beyond agenda, expectation, authorship. And we support each other with courage and love and presence. One must be willing to stand alone in the unknown, with no reference to the known, or the past, or any of one's conditioning. One must stand where no one has stood before, in complete nakedness, innocence, and humility. One must stand in that dark light, in that groundless embrace, unwavering and true to the reality, devoted to the reality beyond all self. Not just for a moment, but forever, without end. For then, that which is sacred, indivisible, and whole is born within consciousness and begins to express itself. And that expression is the salvation of the whole. It is the activity of an inward revolution brought down into time and space, as time and space. Thank you. We could say it like this too. You whose day this is, take out your rainbow colors. Take out your rainbow colors and make it beautiful. That's what he's saying. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I love hearing from you. I love being with you. I'm in endless gratitude, endless gratitude.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, thank you, thank you,
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jen.
Jen.
thank you. Thank you, beauties.
Thank you, Jan. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love you. I love you. I love you.